Okay, well, good morning everyone. We're going to start by talking about our COVID update, then the cyclone, the opening of the Asia Pacific headquarters for Populous, and then we'll do other questions at the end. Okay, so in good news overnight, we've had 0 new local cases, but we've had 4 overseas acquired cases in hotel quarantine, so we're not worried about that. They're all under control. So we've got 14 active cases, and in the past 24 hours, we've had 5,852 tests. Now, in terms of vaccinations, we did 980 yesterday, which is great. We've done 3,010 so far, so we've exceeded our target within the first week, and we remain on target for our second week. So once again, that's great to see that rollout happening there. Now, for our viewers up in far north Queensland, from Townsville right up to Cairns and further north, I just want to give an update about Tropical Cyclone Niran. Now, it's currently a Category 1 off the Cairns coast. It's northeast of Cairns, 275 kilometres. The area that the Bureau has said that we're looking at is between Cape Flattery and Lucinda, and we're also watching Atherton, Mareeba and of course Cairns. Now, the winds can get up to 100 kilometres an hour later this evening, but the Bureau indicates that the direction the cyclone is moving is slowly away from the coast, but it could gather up speed over the next couple of days. There is a major flood warning for the Herbert River, and so my main message today to people in the far north, and they've dealt with heavy rain before and cyclones, so they know exactly what they're doing. But if it's flooded, forget it. And we have had reports, I know, that our crews were out trying to fix up the power lines that were down. So there were 31,000 customers in Cairns that were without power this morning, and 5,000 in the Kasserine coast. So they're doing everything they can to fix that up as quickly as they can. And in relation to schools, we had 7 state schools closed today and up in that region, and 32 from the Catholic and Independent. So we'll be keeping people updated. Please make sure you're continuing to get the updates from the Bureau. And the other information that the Bureau said to me is that they're also expecting some severe storms this afternoon around the southeast, and they'll be issuing warnings if that does gather momentum. There could be some hailstorms there as well. So I think all in all, the information coming from the Bureau was good. I had a meeting this morning with the Bureau, the State Disaster Coordinator, who gave us that up-to-date information. Okay, so now I want to talk about Populous. Now, timing is everything, they say, and what a great day to be here, to be able to share in the opening of the Asia Pacific headquarters for Populous, and we know that this firm has expertise when it comes to building stadiums and making sure that they are exporting around the globe. And to have the Asia Pacific headquarters located right here in Brisbane is really making its stamp, and I really want to thank Paul for his invitation to come along today. It's also great to be joined by the Minister for Education. It's also Grace's local electorate, and we also have Harvey here and Natalie Cook. So, of course, ideally positioned for the future, and there is a real buzz around town. There's a buzz around Queensland when it comes to hope and opportunity as we come out of COVID and we look towards the future and what our state can present for an Olympics 2032. Now, Populous has also had great experience and expertise with the London Olympics and also with the upcoming Tokyo Olympics. And I personally have been to Tokyo in the past and seen the construction of those stadiums. But now there is a new norm that the Olympic Committee have put out. Now, that new norm means we don't need those big grand stadiums of the past. We need functioning stadiums that can be used as a legacy, and that is exactly what we'll be focusing on. And we have a lot of existing venues, and we know that over the next few months and years we need to work on those missing pieces. So today is a great day. It's wonderful to see 100 staff working here, local jobs, and the great capacity that this organisation has to be firmly seated right here in Queensland as we embark on that Olympic dream of 2032. So I might hand over to Paul to say a few words, and then Harvey and Natalie, you want to say a few words? So, thanks.
Thank you, Premier. We're very proud to open the new Asia Pacific headquarters for our firm here in Brisbane today. 80% of our work is in fact export, and we're proud Queensland creative exporters in the design industry throughout Asia from here. We've been fortunate to actually have been involved in many Olympics and also to have a lot of experience and lessons from those Olympics. The Olympics is an extraordinary opportunity for any city. It's an opportunity to actually place that city within its overall region and place that city within the world itself. This is a great opportunity for hope, as the Premier says, for the future. It's a positive thing both in terms of social infrastructure, it's a positive thing in terms of sports participation, health and community, to bring the community together for the Olympics. It's a wonderful opportunity, and credit to the government for actually having the foresight and the hard work that it takes to get Brisbane to this position. It takes a lot of hard work to become an Olympic city, and we know that Brisbane, South East Queensland and Queensland is more than ready for that challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Well done. The only thing better than putting on a green and gold uniform with our maroon jersey on underneath is to play in a stadium designed by Populous, or a venue on the beach designed by Populous. So the athletes of today getting ready for Tokyo are very excited, but those that are most excited are our young kids. Grace in the education system that have a new sparkle in their eye as they set their sights on the opportunity for a potential home Olympic Games in Brisbane 2032. So my daughter at the age of 5 even ran faster as she wanted to go to school on Thursday morning as we spoke about the opportunity that presents to Brisbane. Premier, congratulations to you and the government for the foresight to bring the largest sporting event in the world to Brisbane, Queensland. And as the Premier said, the new norms of the International Olympic Committee allow the Olympics to fit into our future city, allow the Olympics to knit in and blend in and not leave big white elephant stadiums like we may have seen in the past. So it's an exciting time, from infrastructure to tourism to school kids, coaches, the high-performance system for the Queensland Academy of Sport, and everyone in Queensland has a buzz about it today. And our regions. We'll see camps, swim camps this year for Cairns. We'll see athletics camps for Townsville and all the way up and down the coast. It's an important Queensland opportunity, and we look forward to taking the Olympics into schools every day through our Olympics Unleashed program as well. So, of course, we cannot forget the Paralympians. There will be, it's not just a 2-week Olympic event or a 12-day Paralympics, it's a decade of opportunity for our state, for our athletes, and we look forward to the next phase of the bidding opportunity. So thanks and congratulations to Populous.
How do you follow Nat's enthusiasm? Thank you, and thank you, Premier, for inviting me to say a few words. You know, Populous to us are like our brothers. They're like our family. There's not many places in the world where you find a real concentration of experience and a long history in a particular sector of the business. There are some, but for sports venues and entertainment venues, it's Brisbane, Queensland. And both our company and Populous have worked side by side for many years. We've been involved in operating venues in Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro, in Beijing, in Sydney, in London. We have venues for Paris and for Los Angeles, and now for Brisbane. I mean, you know, that is just a fantastic opportunity. And for the young people who work for us, the ability to be able to work on the Olympic Games, that is just a cracker. It's not just for people who work for us, though. It's for people right across the city. And the Premier said this morning about how there was a buzz in the city. Well, there is a buzz. And I know there's a design buzz going on as well. There are people rethinking their thoughts and what if we did this and what about that? I think the things you're going to see that the government will have an opportunity to announce over the next 12 months really are going to blow people's minds. At the moment, I think there's been an expectation that we're going to win this. We deserve to win it, and the government have set this up really well for the city and for the state. But now we've got to take it that next step, and I think Brisbane is really lucky to have Populous based here with such a strong pool of talent. So I'm looking forward to it, and congratulations, Paul, on your new premises. Thank you. Thank you, Premier.
Any questions on that, Paul?
Yes. Yeah.
In terms of, you made much of the fact we built every, built a lot of it.
Yes.
10 or 15%.
Yeah. Between 85 and 90% of the venues are already in the southeast of our state, plus utilising like the Townsville Stadium as well. Yeah.
What are we talking about? And why is Populous getting so excited? What business are they opening which venues?
Well, we're now doing that final master planning, which is the subject of the work that needs to be submitted to the Olympic Committee. And we are now having to finalise those venues. So we'll be looking at that very clearly. We know that we do need a swimming venue. So there are options there about utilising a potential Brisbane Live for swimming. But there are discussions that are ongoing with Brisbane Live about that. And of course, we were at Roma Street yesterday, where we are now doing the master planning of what that site would look like above ground. So there's a lot of work that's happening there.
What about the main stadium?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of options that we are looking at there, whether we utilise existing stadiums or whether there can be some collaboration between local, state and federal of a new around 50,000 seat stadium. But, you know, this is a balancing act. We don't want to build big new stadiums. We need practical solutions, so we'll be looking very closely and getting the best value for money as we finalise what we need to submit to the yeah, that's right.
Does that fit with your Buy Queensland policy when you have a firm which isn't necessarily a Queensland firm, obviously it's good that they're expanding here, but would you not mind giving Populous the work?
Populous has their Asia Pacific headquarters here. There are 100 local staff working here, so they've got experience. They built Suncorp Stadium. They built the tennis centre. I mean, I want to have companies like this based here in Queensland, so I'm a very proud Queenslander today.
You must want a new stadium, some sort of showpiece for women. So not just going to use every other stadium and dress it up. You want something to see.
It's got to be practical and it's got to be part of the legacy. And what the Olympic Committee want us to do is they want us to look at what do we already have. So we've got to look at value for money, and we've got to look at where we need to supplement what we already have. So, sorry? That's one of the options. So there's that option. There's utilising Carrara. There's utilising Suncorp. So it's all in the mix at the moment.
Would the government consider paying to build a Brisbane Live Stadium? Do you still want us to do private?
Well, we'll work through those issues. We've got I can't really talk about it at the moment because there's discussions that are happening. But you know, like I said, I think that Queenslanders would love a music entertainment venue, which would be the legacy. So, well, I can't rule that out because it may be that the federal government and the council and the state all put in a contribution. So let's work through all of that. There's a lot of work to do for the master plan over the next few months. A lot of work. Yeah, sure.
Just about this issue of main stadiums, obviously you had your fingerprints on London and I think Beijing as well. How important is that sort of showpiece venue?
Well, it's interesting with the Olympics. It's evolved. So our work in Paris, for all of the kind of overlay planning and the temporary planning, which is a huge piece of work in its own right so that it operates well, we're utilising the existing stadium in Paris for the main stadium. That's the Stade de France. And I think we'll see this more and more as time goes on. We're getting more creative about how we can put on Olympics with temporary facilities, but more importantly, look at how we can make these facilities actually work long term for the city that they're in. Brisbane has a couple of really significant long-term urban regeneration opportunities around Cross River Rail, and the synergy of existing plans in the Olympics is a fantastic point at the moment that will bode well into the future.
How many previous stadiums have you been involved in? Just going back and forward, I guess, about Paris.
We've been involved in about 12 Olympics over the years. That's winter and summer. It also includes Asian Games, and you learn something from each one. So the London Olympics had the most amount of temporary facilities ever done in an Olympics before. And that was an effort that we did there to reduce the cost and to knit that into the city itself. And Brisbane has an opportunity along the same lines. Take what's great about Brisbane and what we need in terms of the long term, and then see how the Olympics can actually enhance and make that work for the long-term benefit of the city.
You're involved in the master planning, the final stage, I guess, in terms of going for 2032 games. When you look at a new venue or a temporary venue, but particularly in this case a new one, 50,000 stadium is vastly smaller than we saw a 110,000 stadium at Sydney. So a 50,000 stadium, if it was, but surely is a lasting legacy. It's not quite.
So there's a lot of work to do to define exactly what is needed for the Olympics. And one of the beauties about the announcement now is that we have more time than any other Olympic city to actually prepare in a considered way. Look at the Commonwealth Games on what was done with Metricon Stadium, where we had the permanent facility there and then we had the temporary seats to bump up the capacity just for the Commonwealth Games. That's the kind of initiative and thinking that happens around major games now.
Just finally, Populous, you've opened up new headquarters here. How many extra jobs have you added? Because I guess that's not a big thing.
Yeah. So Populous, we're a Queensland company. We've been based here for 20 years. I'm Queensland born and bred, as are most of our staff. We employ 105 people here of some of the most talented designers in the world. Proud that they've come out of Queensland and proud that we're actually able to export that throughout the region.
How many extra jobs do you reckon you've added?
So we've added over 100 extra jobs over the last 12 months. And part of that is some of the extraordinary projects in Asia, the Hong Kong project in Kai Tak, which is a community development there for community facilities, retail, elite athletes and major events all in the one area. That's been produced mainly out of the office here in Brisbane. It's very exciting to have that opportunity.
When did Populous submit its proposal to government about Brisbane Live, and when do you want to put the decision back to that?
At Populous, we did some work for the government to try and help understand what is possible with Brisbane Live. There's a lot more work to do on that as that site is actually looked at. And this is one of the key things to come out of it. Any major facility needs time to actually be fully considered so there's long-term benefit out of it.
Could we get you on Brisbane Live? Obviously, you've been one of the major proponents of getting the project happening.
Was there someone else? Other
Apparently there was 10 at last stage.
other than the Premier?
How much will you be able to support to actually make this stadium?
Well, we've certainly offered right from day one to take an equity stake in the project. All of these venues are big pieces of social infrastructure. They need to be built for their long-term need and adapted for short-term use. And I think that's what the government's approach has been with this Olympic Games, and that is not build venues that are just for an Olympic Games and then try and work out what to do with it.
So would swimming pool be temporary?
It'll be temporary. Yeah, this has been done many times. It was done in the Rod Laver Arena in Melbourne for the World Swimming Championships. There's new technology. There will be by 32, but at the moment it's a Spanish system. It's an aluminium clipped-together system with a liner. It's a fast pool, which is really important for swimmers, and they can go in and go out. It takes a little bit of time, but there's no reason why that can't be done very successfully in an indoor arena. It takes out some of the challenges of doing it outdoors as well, which some cities have chosen to do for their major events. Then you're dealing with wind-affected times and all sorts of things, weather for the patrons as well. So swimming is one of the real potentials for the Brisbane Live Arena, and it was always conceived from the start to be something that could do anything that you could do in any other indoor arena or anywhere in the world will be able to be done in this arena. No, I don't think you'd build a building like this to keep a pool permanently, but The business for arenas is indoor sport, general entertainment, family events, television spectaculars, monster trucks, the Wiggles, Disney on Ice, and in fact we're now in the original arena in Brisbane at the Entertainment Centre. We're well into the second generation of Disney on Ice fans. You know, parents who are taking kids, and the first thing they ever saw was Disney on Ice. So these venues have a real need in a market, and it's time that Queensland's capital city had a venue that is in similar scale to the one in Sydney, the one in Melbourne, the one in Perth, and so that's certainly what the vision is for Brisbane Live. The Entertainment Centre has suited its purpose really well, but it was designed, I'm going to say, about 38 years ago now. I don't know, I'm sure it wasn't an architect who designed the car parks and the traffic system. I keep saying I think he was on, or he, I think it was on drugs. But you know, it does 850,000 people a year for events. It will continue to allow us to deliver for Brisbane every single thing that tours in this part of the world for the people of Queensland. And when there's a new arena available, and the patron experience will be, you know, so much improved as it is with every new venue that we see, then the government will be able to take a decision about what it is they do with that building at Boondall.
Would ASM be willing to go alone if the government's done with their money for Brisbane?
No, I don't think there's anywhere in the world where a major arena like this can be built and funded by the private sector from what the general public pay for tickets. What you'd have to pay for tickets would be significant. These are pieces of social infrastructure. There can certainly be a mix of risk taken by the private sector, and we do that in many places around the world. But our company owns LA Live, downtown in LA. We own the Staples Centre. But we don't have the Lakers and the Clippers and the LA Kings and a WNBA team. You know, the sport in some of those markets make the major difference. You can't sustain them on general entertainment. I think the only other thing about Brisbane Live, the most important thing is in the Olympics, it's actually in the seat of McConnell, and I think that's a really other good reason to do it. So, thank you.
All right. We're happy to take a quick couple of questions. Yes. Yeah. No, not at all. We have always planned to start off within our capability and to roll it out progressively, and we've actually met our targets. So it's the advice coming from Dr. Young and Dr. Wakefield, and we're very happy with the rollout and how we are reaching our targets.
What's the reason for it not being faster? You can say you hit your target. Why weren't you more ambitious for that?
No, we have to make sure that we've got the supply as well. So we've got to make sure we've got the supply from the federal government. And I think you've seen that the way we've actually rolled it out, there haven't been any issues. So that's what I like to see. Sorry? I will release that each week, yes. Yeah.
How confident should people in other states be about talking flights and holidays in Queensland now that the vaccine's started?
Well, I think you have to put the vaccine to one side because, as Dr. Young said, you need the vast majority of the population to be vaccinated. But like we said, our priority at a national cabinet level is to make sure that our hotel quarantine workers are vaccinated first and foremost, our frontline health workers, our frontline police. Now that's still happening, that's still part of 1A. Then the Commonwealth's responsibility is to look after the aged care and to make sure that our most vulnerable are being looked after, and then it goes progressively into those other age brackets of 1B, which is all on the website. So if anyone's unsure about when they're likely to get the vaccine, and like we said, the vast majority is going to be the middle of the year. So back to the substantial part of your question about confidence. I think people should be confident to be able to book their flights, because at the moment we have zero community transmission. And from what I see is people are out there enjoying Queensland lifestyle, and hopefully that'll be the case for many months to come. But of course, we still have to be on our guard because we have the South African strain, the South American strain, and the UK strain. So that's why our hotel quarantine is really important, and we are still in discussions with the federal government about that regional quarantine in Toowoomba. Yes. Yeah, thanks. That's a really good question too, and it's something that we've been talking about a lot at a government level in terms of when JobKeeper ends, there are going to be a lot of people in the tourism industry that are really going to be feeling the effects of it. I noticed that Josh Frydenberg said some words today, and I'd like to say one thing to Josh Frydenberg. Go up to Cairns and talk to people. I'm repeating what people are saying to me. It's about listening to people. So, yes, people can have opinions and you can have facts, but when you listen to people firsthand and you hear how they're feeling and what they're worried about, you only get to know that if you sit down and talk to them.
Can payroll tax be further?
Sorry?
Can payroll tax be further?
We've delivered over $1 billion in payroll tax deferrals. In fact, our payroll tax deferrals have been perhaps one of the largest of any other state. They are retained as a record, so ministerial record under the State Archives Act is retained. They go through the RTI process. Not to my knowledge, no.
Just on Josh.
Yes. Well, I think people can put forward their opinion, but the reality is when you go and talk to people on the ground. And obviously, the tourism operators in Cairns are really worried about their future because the international borders have been shut. So I am really concerned about what's going to happen at the end of this month when JobKeeper finishes, and I have raised that issue with the federal government as well. No further update, but that show cause has been issued. Yeah. Okay. I will discuss that with the Leader of the House and I'll let you know. Okay, thank you. Thanks.